All right, very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Amazon Live webinar. Thank you for joining us today afternoon. And my name is Jun Liang. I'm the trainer here in Amazon Seller Education team. And today I'm very happy to have Hui Qi, our ads manager from the Amazon ads team, to join us, where she will take us through about what are the basics that you need to know about Amazon ads. And also we will have Rin as well, the account manager from Global Selling team, to join us as well in the later part of the session for any Q&A that we will address towards the end. All right, so before we get started, just want to share with everyone that this recording will be recorded and then it will be shared on our YouTube playlist. So don't worry, you can see the link on the side of the chat box, or it will be sent via the emails in the follow-up. So do take note. And then again, if you have any questions, do put it on the Q&A box and we will address it before the end of the sessions. And these are some important notice to take note of. All right, so these are what we'll be covering today. How to create a listing, the different methods of creating a listing, how can you do some optimization tips and tricks, and then we will have Hui Qi to walk us through on the Amazon ads, and then to share with you about the important dates, and at the end of it, we will have a live Q&A. All right, now before you start your listing, right, so there are some few considerations that you need to think about. First of all, you want to think about, are you intending to list it under a brand name, meaning that you have your own brand? So these are the few things you need to consider before doing that. So if you do have a trademark, do enroll in the Amazon brand registry so that you can unlock all the brand building tools available for brand owners like yourself. So if you intend to list under a brand name but you do not have a trademark, you might need to apply for the brand name exemptions. And then if you do not have a brand name but you can still list it, so you just need to list it under generic. All right. And then the second thing you need to think about is, does the product that you intend to sell require any additional listing approval? There are some products that may need certain approval or certification from some of the US authority or regulatory. So you might need to check on that. So typically, things that are sold for children or things that are consumed, you will need certain approval. All right, so I will also share those links in the video description, so don't worry about that. And then the last thing you need to think of is whether or not your product have any barcode or the code such as the UPC, ISBN code, etc. All right, so if you already have a barcode, very good, you can go on to put in those code during your listing. However, if you don't have a barcode or your product doesn't require a barcode, you can check whether do you need the GTIN exemptions. If not, you will need to purchase a barcode from GS1. All right, so there are some products that may not need a barcode, like maybe what they call that, the private label product, you may not need a barcode, so you can have a GTIN exemption for that. And then GS1 is just a global company that kind of keeps tracks of all the barcodes globally. So you need to go to the website, you just search for GS1 to purchase a barcode, or if you intend to have a barcode for your product. So there are three ways that you can create your listing. First one is manually, and then there's a bulk upload method, or there's what we call the match listing method. Now for manual listings, it's ideally, to use these if you have less than 10 products. So you can do your listing like one by one. All right. The instruction is just below where you can find it. It's quite straightforward if you go through the navigation. Now for bulk upload, it's recommended if you, let's say, have more than 10 products that you want to put it up into the listing. So in this way, right, when you go to use a bulk upload feature, you will actually download something like a file, and then you'll put the info there, and then you upload the file up back to the Seller Central, and then you'll be able to do the so-called bulk upload. And then the third one is matching a listing. So let's say if you are listing a product that is available already on the Amazon.com catalog, you can match it. So this is the case where usually if you are selling certain products that's already on Amazon, for example, maybe you are doing what they call reselling certain items, then you might have got approval from the certain brands, etc. Then you can use this way to create your listing. So when you list something, some of your product may be applicable for what we call the variation, like a variant. So for example, what you see here is like selling maybe a shirt. So there is a different kinds of variation that you can see, like colors, different sizes, etc. All right, so this is something to note of, that if your product has a variation, you should always list it under the same listing, but with a different variation, so that your customers, when they view your listing, can also at the same time look at what are the colors available, what are the different other types of variation available, to help them have a better consideration when they are shopping for your products. All right, and even for variation, there's different what we call the single variation and the double variation. I'm not sure if you can see. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. All right, so this is the single variation, whereby it's just pretty straightforward, different colors of this set of what I call ladder or something. All right, and then double variation, meaning that each of your variation has another variation of its own. For example, this helmet, for each of the small size, there's this same set of color, and then for the medium size, there might be another set of colors. So that's the meaning of a single variation and double variation. So something you need to think about, when you are planning to list your product. All right, this is just sharing how you can create a variation. So it's usually on the top when you add a product. All right, so one of the tab is called variation. Depending on the product category, you will see different available options for you. So I have some common questions, or rather frequently asked questions, regarding, first of all, let's say if you purchase a barcode from GS1 but receive some error when you try to create a product listing. So if you do encounter these issues, right, it may mean that you are having, or rather you're using codes that is not matching to what you're trying to list. So in this case, you might want to open a case with the seller partner support, the SPS team, and then attach all your supporting document from the GS1 for verification. All right. So for the second common question is that if you wish to sell a closed or gated category but documents are rejected, so meaning that those are the category that may need further approval. All right. So again, you might need to open a seller partner support case to provide all documents that you have to get it, revisit and get it approved. All right, if it still doesn't work, you might need to reach out to your account manager if you have one, to help you to forward or escalate the case. All right, so there's another third common question is, if you have an active listing in another marketplace, let's say you are planning to, or you are already selling on not just Amazon.com, you're selling on the other Amazon marketplace, how can you migrate your listing over to Amazon.com? So there is a tool called Build International Listing Tool that can help you create and update your listing from a single source marketplace. All right, I will share the link as well on where you can find this tool. It's actually in Seller Central. It's called Build International Listing Tool. All right. So the last question is regarding, like, why can't I see product when I search it on Amazon.com? All right, so this is depending on at which point of time when you start to search. If your listing is just newly created, it might not be appearing yet. It takes some time. Or rather, if you are referring to, if you're searching for some common terms of your product and it's not popping out, it might also be you're not leveraging tools like advertising tools to increase your product visibility on Amazon.com. All right. All right, just a reminder, if you have any question, feel free to put it on to the Q&A box at the side. So now I'm going to talk about what are some of the listing optimization tips and tricks that you can do to prepare for the upcoming shopping event. So these are the quick checklist. All right, so there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items that you need to be aware of. Now, the first two is regarding leaf notes and search terms. That will help in terms of the discoverability of your product. And then the other 4 points will be about your completeness of your listing and what you can do to enhance your listing further. Right, leaf notes are actually the key attributes, things like the brand name, color mapping, price, etc. All right, these are the info that you should provide during your listing phase when you're putting in your listing, so that you'll be available for your customers to use this feature to search and filter for your product accordingly. All right, so remember to put in the right info. All right. And the second one is the search terms. So this is important because these are the keywords that your customer will usually use when they browse and search for what they want to find on Amazon. All right. So most of the customer might already know what they want to buy, and then they would just likely land on Amazon.com and use the search bar. So having relevant keyword is critical to ensure that your item will appear in the search result, all right, for customers who will likely to purchase the item. So try to avoid irrelevant keywords or promotional wordings or subjective words. All right. So the do's and don'ts, you can read about it. I won't go too much details about it. So one thing to note that you do not have to repeat any words in capital or small letters. And then the search terms are not case sensitive. All right, now we move on to the number 3, which is the product bullet points. So bullet points will help you to sell your product features and benefit of your product. They are meant to be a little bit descriptive about the specific aspect of your product. That will appear on the detail page like what you see. So ideally, you should include up to 5 bullet points for each of your product. Keep it concise, and a general piece of advice is to keep your bullet points under 1,000 character in total for all 5 bullet points. All right, so why is this so? Because having less than 1,000 character, right, improve the readability. It's not too much for your customers to read. And then a well-written bullet points will naturally also contain keywords that will help your customers search for the product as well. All right. So number 4 is regarding product images. So if you do not know by now that every of your listing require at least one product image, right? But we would also recommend you to provide at least 3 other image and also 1 video if you can. So the main image should be of high quality that allows your customer to zoom and see your product details. And a good image make it easy for your customers to think about and evaluate whether or not the product is suitable for him or her. So make sure you put in a very good image as your main image. All right. So you can put up to about 6 image, if I'm not wrong, in your per listing. All right. So next is on product description. This is a part that is situated slightly lower on the bullet points portion. So this portion, like you can see, for example, give you an opportunity to provide even more information about your product, although that your customer can take into account before buying it. So you include more than what your key point, or rather what your bullet point already saying, things like maybe your benefit, the usage, and the purpose, etc., like the example here. All right, lastly is about A plus content. So what I mentioned earlier on, all the other like product description, bullet point, that is available to all the sellers. But for A plus content that you can see on the image here, it's something more than the typical listing that you can put. So you need to be enrolled in the brand registry to unlock this feature to enable A plus content for your listing. So this is an additional feature that will require, or rather allow you to add on rich text and image content at the end, or rather at the product detail page. So some of the benefits, we see that it helps to increase your sales uplift, also reduce your customer return on negative reviews, and encourage repeat purchase as well. Now, obviously, the context is you have to create your A plus content well. So there are also some upcoming session that we will talk about, what are the things that you can include on the A plus content sections. All right. So again, to unlock this, you need to be registered as a brand owner. Then you'll be able to unlock the A plus content feature. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is a listing quality dashboard. So this dashboard is actually very useful. So when you put up any listings, so Amazon at the back end will try to look for any fixes that they can recommend for you to make it more discoverable. So you can go to the listing dashboards under your manage inventory. So over there, they will prompt you, what are the additional fields that you can add on for each of your listing. All right. For example, like this listing, right, it will tell you, oh, you should put in what are the style of this product, what are the special feature. So this recommendation will, overall the goal is to make your listing more complete with more relevant information for your shoppers. So do check, or rather maybe after this webinar, you should go and check if you have active listing. Go and check on the listing quality dashboard. What are the details that's identified by the system to tell you, what are the other fields that you could improve or add on to make your listing better or more discoverable for your shoppers. All right. So do remember, if you have any question, put in a Q&A box and we will address you at the end. And now I'll be inviting Hui Qi, our Amazon Ads Manager, to give a introduction to Amazon Ads full funnel solutions. So let me pass the presenter mode to Hui Qi right now. All right. I hope everyone is still with me. I have handed over to Hui Qi to take on the next part of the presentation. Over to you, Hui Qi.
Hi everyone, thank you for taking the time out to join our session today. So okay, I hope it's loading. Okay, we'll get started. So today, I'll quickly cover the introduction to Amazon Ads full funnel solution. Just a quick reminder for everyone who is new. I think what we will cover today is just a very brief introduction of all the different ads that you can run on the Amazon platform as a business owner. And I'll also take you through a very quick run through of how to set up your first automatic ad campaign. So yeah, please stay tuned. Getting started really quickly, essentially, as a precursor as to Amazon ads, why should you try introducing Amazon ads or try adopting ads for your business? Essentially, when you're trying to sell to customers, they are interacting with different parts of Amazon touch points throughout their day. So they can be, especially American customers, they can, of course, naturally they'll be researching products they want to buy on Amazon. Then of course they could be watching shows on Fire TV, listening to some Amazon music, making a purchase via Alexa, and browsing even other third-party websites and apps as well. So essentially, Amazon is really a place where customers do their research and kind of find out what is suited to their taste. So some interesting things we kind of like need to keep in mind as a business owner is that almost 74% of customers discover new brands and listings through Amazon. So it's a very good opportunity for you, even as a new business owner introducing new brands. You have a very high potential to make your first sale to customers because Amazon customers are on the lookout for something new, and almost half of customers prefer Amazon as a way to buy products from brands that they've never heard of before. So this is just like to kind of give you an idea of how exciting it is for you as a business owner to capture new to brand customers. So that's one thing I want you to keep in mind, which is something called new to brand. It's a way for you to reach people that you've never sold your products to before. And the second thing to keep in mind is that all our American customers, or European customers, for example, they discover products and brands across different channels. Even as a Singaporean consumer, before I buy something online, I browse a variety of different channels, Instagram, TikTok, on the e-commerce platform itself, like Amazon, and almost 74% of shoppers browse and use different channels just for a single purchase. And they often refer like to their acquaintances, for word of mouth recommendations, reviews. So that's something that's going to help you when you start advertising as well. The fact that you need to employ different tactics, not just one type of ad on the Amazon platform. It's good for you as a business owner to have a full funnel strategy. And secondly, another key to success for advertising is definitely reviews. So that's something we need to tap on to make sure you're spending your money wisely and your ads are working for you. So why Amazon ads and our solutions? So just to kind of give you a perspective, as a business owner, right? A full funnel strategy will basically help you capture all the different touch points that the consumer is researching and browsing for their products. So we like to think of it as a big funnel. So firstly, the most important thing you want to do is to generate awareness for your brand. So you might be a new brand, or you might be launching a new product for an existing brand. But the key is always to drive awareness first. If people are not aware of you, they're not going to buy. So like a customer might be watching a commercial, they might be looking or browsing on TikTok, and then subsequently it narrows down in that funnel towards consideration. So the customer might finally be aware of your brand, of Hui brand, for example, but then they might be considering before they make the purchase. So the consideration phase is where we want to tell our brand story. Like you'll want to kind of research your customer a little bit to find out what kind of brand story will attract them. For example, are you a skincare brand that is trying to appeal to a female customer that is very concerned about organic products, about natural, no nasties kind of a product? Then you want to build a brand story around that using a variety of tools. They are free tools and there are also paid tools, which we will cover later. And then subsequently, we talk about conversion. So this narrows down again from all the different people that are aware and they're considering your brand. Then we finally get them to convert and actually make the final purchase. And it doesn't stop there. So, across all the different webinars we talk about, after conversion, there is still a need to kind of remind your consumers, your customers, of repurchasing the product, reconsidering your product. Especially, for example, if you operate in certain categories like skincare, it's important to continue to drive loyalty, get reviews, bump up your products again with the reviews, to ensure that people regularly repurchase your product, and essentially stay loyal to your brand. So this is what the funnel is looking for. I'll quickly go through this. But essentially, as a brand owner, first you want to build awareness. So there are different kind of options. For example, if you're a really big brand, you can afford to run, for example, even OTT, for example, like TV commercials. If not, there's Amazon DSP or sponsored display, essentially to capture a lot of awareness. These here, I would say you need to complement it with your off Amazon strategy. For example, any kind of TikTok ads and Instagram ads. And then subsequently, you want to increase consideration by building your brand. So here is where, for example, you want to tap into tools like sponsored brands video. So essentially, you want to tell your story in a video, in a rich kind of a format where you can take the time to tell your story. And then of course, then you want to employ some of the Amazon ad tools where you can try to stand out in your category. Ensure that when, for example, someone is searching, for example, for skincare, you are consistently appearing in their searches. Your brand comes up and your product comes up and people click on it. So that's where, for example, in number 3, you want to stand out in your category with category keywords, for example. And then of course it narrows down to a funnel where you really want to reach and secure customers that are ready to click buy now already. So here's where we can employ some of the Amazon ads solutions like sponsored products, sponsored display. If you are a bigger brand, Amazon DSP. And then of course, actually, as a very fundamental, that's why it's kind of at the bottom, is what Jin Liang covered. So apart from ads and just thinking about ads, the other thing that is super important that goes hand in hand with ads is A plus content. Your product images, these are key to getting that final sale, getting people to actually buy. They might consider, but if you have a very blurry picture, you have no A plus content, it might look like your product listing is not a real listing, so people might not buy. So these are brand foundations that you need to get correct. The other thing would be stores. So you can build up a store within Amazon as long as you have more than 3 listings. And you can also take advantage of free tools like posts. So all these A plus content stores as well as posts are all free that you should definitely use, really to kickstart your brand and get the foundations correct. Yep. So essentially, what the full funnel solutions do is just helping you build your brand story, build awareness for your brand, and then eventually drive the purchase and loyalty for your brand as well. Yep. So you'll see that across the way, when you use full funnel solutions, you get more detailed page views. So more people click on your product detail pages. You get more people adding to cart. An important metric for you to keep aware of is new to brand sales. So apart from just getting the same person that's always repurchasing your sales, Amazon full funnel solutions is a great way for you to get new to brand sales, like customers who have never bought your brands before. You can also track, for example, what are some of the ad attributed sales. So what ads are the one driving the sales for you, and of course, definitely, you want to encourage loyalty as well. So you don't have to try every single thing, even like just adopting, for example, sponsored brands, sponsored display, and sponsored products. You'll see like an increase in new to brand customers, and also higher sales month over month once you use beyond sponsored products. So I'll definitely cover these 3 formats today, just to kind of give you an overview. Yeah. So going straight into it, our Amazon ad solution. So very first, we have sponsored products. So this is an overview of the different ad solutions you can employ as a business owner. So very first will be sponsored products. I would say this is the bread and butter of advertising on Amazon. So if as long as you want to start advertising on Amazon, I think the easiest and the easiest to launch today really quickly is sponsored products. I'll cover it later. And then subsequently, I understand that there are some, for example, resellers, distributors, you might not have registered on Amazon brand registry, but for essentially brand owners that are registered on brand registry, you can also take advantage of sponsored brands and sponsored brands video, as well as sponsored display. So these are the other 2 type of ad formats. So sponsored brands, I would say, is the tool to use to tell your brand story. So it's a lot more interesting in the sense that you can employ a video, or you can actually link yourself towards your Amazon store. And you can either call out your store, you can collect out your top 3 products, or you can employ a video, which is sponsored brands video. And then next will be sponsored display. So sponsored display is for the very top of the funnel, which is driving awareness. Essentially, you ensure that the products that you're selling not only appear on Amazon at different placements, which I'll show you. You can actually appear off Amazon as well. So when I'm researching, for example, for a camera, I might actually be on a whole other different website, right? Like a top 10 list of the different cameras on some other page, but your product ad for that camera will appear, for example, in that article, for example. So that's how sponsored display roughly works, and you can target different audiences based on their interests, demographics, as well as whether or not they've actually previously clicked on your ad before. But note again, like for sponsored brands and sponsored display, it's exclusive to brand registry brand owners. And of course, there's Amazon DSP as well, but Amazon DSP has to be operated with an ad specialist. So I'll cover this at another time. So going straight into sponsored products, as I mentioned, sponsored products is the bread and butter of Amazon advertising. So how it works is essentially when a customer, for example, like myself, I'm searching for a pot to cook with, for example, a Dutch oven. I'll enter the word Dutch oven into the search bar, right? Because I'm looking for it. And essentially, what you as the brand owner is doing is bidding for the exact listing on the search results page. So you can actually bid for either keywords like Dutch oven, or you can actually bid for specific products. For example, you have a top competitor within the category. For example, for kitchen product, it might be, for example, like um, Tefal, for example. And then you can essentially bid for a product, essentially to help secure a top of search listing page appearance, as highlighted in this orange square, and basically help increase the visibility of your products, because all the customers come on Amazon, they don't usually actually search for one specific brand or one specific product. 90% of the time, people come in a very browsing mode, and they use category keywords. They use keywords that they think are relevant to them. So you as the advertiser should start bidding for the keywords that are relevant to your category. So the ads appear in the shopping results page, as it's shown here, as well as the product detail pages to help you drive consideration and sales. Sponsored brands, on the other hand, is when, again, it's a cost per click ad solution. So you get charged only when someone clicks on your ad itself. Essentially, it helps customers discover and engage with your brand when they shop on Amazon. So the format that is shown here is essentially a product collection format. If we actually go back to the previous slide, you see at the top of the search page, there's this thing called Cuisinelle. That is also a sponsored brands ad, Cuisinelle. And this is essentially a product collection sponsored brands ad. And over here, it's also a product collection ad. So essentially, when you, for example, bid for rice cooker or pressure cooker, and you bid for a sponsored brands ad, then essentially what happens is that your brand name with your logo appears. There is a click-through link called Shop Green Pot, so it links directly to your Amazon store. And for this specific format, it is a product collection format where you can choose the 3 products that you want to advertise. It can be your top 3 selling products. It can be also, for example, a new launch that you are launching. For example, the pressure cooker might be something new that you're launching this month. Then essentially you want to stick your pressure cooker as one of the options for your product collection. So this is how a sponsored brand ad format works. At the shopping results page, you appear right at the very top. So, again, you're super top of mind for your consumers. And then, of course, the good thing about this format is that it links to your store. So why will you want to link to your store? Firstly, you can tell people your brand. Secondly, the store is a place where no other advertisers can advertise on. So your store is exclusively for yourself, your products, anything you want to do. So essentially, there are no leaky holes. People cannot get distracted and click on other brands. So I feel this is a great format to kind of lock in people into your store and tell your story. So there are 3 ad formats under sponsored brands. There's product collection, which is shown here. There's store spotlight. So essentially it just drives straight to the store. And there's also sponsored brands video. And we'll cover sponsored brands at another time, like an intermediate course. Today is a basic introduction. And then for sponsored display, essentially sponsored display is a display kind of an ad. So essentially you just display your individual product listing that you have selected and you want to advertise, and it appears on a variety of different placements across the Amazon website as well as off Amazon. um, Again, for sponsored display, the caution here is that uh, it's not exactly the best format to drive conversion, but it's a great format for you to drive awareness as well as consideration. Another way to employ sponsored display, once you're a bit more advanced with advertising, is that it can also help protect your product detail pages and prevent other brands from, eating up your space and getting your consumers kind of distracted and clicking away into it. um, the interesting thing about sponsored display, as I mentioned, it appears across Amazon. So at the very top here, you will see that it appears on another product detail page. It will appear on the right hand side. So that's one example of the placements that appear there. And of course, it also appears on off Amazon. So as I mentioned, on an article, you'll also see your ad appearing there. And how you actually try and use sponsored display is that, just think of it as, driving awareness with, your ideal customer. So for example, if I'm a cooking brand, you can choose either to target, for example, very specifically in a demographic way. So if you think that, or historically you've seen your sales all come from a lot of women searching for cooking products, then you can actually target based on, for example, demographic, women, kind of a targeting. Otherwise, you can also choose, for example, interest-based targeting. So, for example, you can list down, for example, people who are looking into cooking as an interest. You can actually target those people. So those are some of the targeting that you can refine and choose. The other thing is that if you're an established brand already, you can actually take advantage of remarketing. So there is the option for you to target people who have actually previously viewed your ad before, or they have previously purchased your product before. You can actually remarket to your audience. So this is where the loyalty part comes in. You want to get people to, upgrade to a better frying pan, or you want to, essentially target people that have looked at your product but haven't buy yet. You can actually target those people with this ad format. So sponsored display, again, driving awareness and also very great for remarketing. And also for essentially for some of our kind of sellers today, some awareness of what the Amazon demand side platform is. Again, it is like an extension of sponsored display, but on a much greater scale. Essentially you can create a certain type of Amazon audience segments. For example, kitchen lovers. For example, people who are, like tech lovers, for example. You can essentially build audiences, and based on their interest, demographic, purchases, you can advertise to those people off Amazon, for example, on streaming TV, for example, like Prime Video, and then lead them back towards your Amazon detail pages or your own website. However, for Amazon DSP, it has to be operated with an Amazon ad consultant, and I recommend it for, bigger or more established businesses who have already started selling with Amazon. But yeah, just an introduction for the advanced kind of a ad solution. Yeah, and you can take advantage again of all the different Amazon platforms here, which is, Prime Video, Twitch. For those based in Singapore, you are able to reach audiences that have previously interacted with all these Amazon kind of subsidiaries. Yep. But apart from all the previous solutions, which in a way they are paid, right? Because they're cost per click. There are also free solutions, free brand building solutions to help you build and, like grow your brand. So there's stores, posts, brand follow, as well as Amazon Live and Amazon Attribution. So I'll quickly touch on these five. So I think the lowest hanging fruit that every seller that is like together with us here today, that should take advantage of is definitely stores. But of course, stores, you must have a minimum of three product listings, to essentially create a store. However, once you have three listings, stores is something, as I mentioned, is a great tool for you to lock in your customers, because your store is dedicated to you and nobody can advertise on your store, so there's no leaky bucket. It's a free self-service product. Essentially, you upload any beautiful images you have, your brand logo, any kind of a gorgeous like image of your product. You want to put it on your store, as essentially kind of like your own website within Amazon, for people to shop on your brand. And how it works together with ads is that you can use sponsored brands to drive traffic towards your store. So you want to drive as much traffic, as much awareness to your store as possible, so people eventually click on one of your product and buys it eventually. Yeah. And second thing that I recommend sellers to try is also posts. So it's basically essentially like social media for your within Amazon itself. However, there's interesting stuff because you can actually click through to the products that you're selling. So it's great for you to, also use some of the images that you're uploading, for example, on your Instagram page. You can upload as a post within the Amazon site, and people can explore, they can browse the feed. It's very much like Instagram, or in a way a little bit like Facebook as well, and essentially discover your product and click to see what's new from the brand. And of course, it comes together with this function called brand follow. Essentially, it's just a small little follow button like Instagram. They can follow the brands that they like, which is your brand, within Amazon as well. Yeah. And there is also Amazon Live. Again, as I mentioned, Amazon Live, it's something that has to be operated with an ads consultant. So this I won't touch too long. But essentially, there is an option for you to interact with Amazon Live and do a live shopping feed, live stream, and essentially, link your product detail pages during the live stream itself. And lastly, I think something that I think quite a lot of sellers have like never tried also is Amazon attribution. So it's also free. Amazon attribution, it sounds a bit scary, but what it means is essentially, right, any brand that is advertising off or outside of Amazon, for example, you are advertising your new skincare brand on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, or even Google search, you can essentially create a tag and track it within Amazon. So for example, if you're searching, you're launching a Google search campaign or an Instagram campaign, the click-through link can be directed towards your Amazon detail page, for example, for the moisturizer that you're selling. You can actually track the performance of all these marketing activities, and how many clicks, for example, or how many views, how many click-throughs are coming towards your final destination, which is the moisturizer that you are selling. So you can actually see what is working the best for you. So you can create 3 separate tags, for example, for your Google search, your Instagram, and your TikTok. And all the final destination is the moisturizer that you are selling. So you can actually select and see which is generating the most click-throughs for you out of these 3 campaigns that are non-Amazon. And then, of course, what you can do as a seller is that you can save money, right? You can reallocate some of the money that is not working. So, for example, if your Instagram ad is not working, then you can actually, decide next month I'll put in less budget for your Instagram campaign. I'll put more into your TikTok campaign, for example, which is probably generating more sales, for example. So that's what Amazon attribution can do for you. And there's also a brand referral bonus. So once you try Amazon attribution and someone actually clicks and buys the moisturizer, for example, from your TikTok campaign, you stand to actually get back a referral, a refer, kind of a return back on some of the bonus that you are getting. So that's for Amazon attribution. So just a recap, we do have the self-service ad solutions, so sponsored products, sponsored brands, sponsored display, as well as DSP. These are essentially paid ad solutions. So you can sign up. It's on your Seller Central. I'll take you through later. And essentially, you launch your campaign, and anytime someone clicks on your campaign, for example, for sponsored products, then you are charged. It's essentially for what you are bidding for. But however, as a seller, you can also take advantage of any kind of free solutions for your brand, such as stores. As I mentioned, please try stores, and you can also consider trying posts as well as Amazon attribution for your brands. So we'll get quickly started with just sponsored products today. I'll take you a quick run through in terms of how to set up your very first campaign. So just as a recap, for a lot of sellers, big brands to very small brands, the bread and butter is sponsored products. Essentially, it's what you use to essentially drive more sales for your brand. And it's a very useful tool, appears all over the Amazon platforms across the different placements. We see that the important thing about sponsored ads is that it attributes quite a lot of sales for our advertisers. So our research internally within Amazon shows that 6 months after advertisers launch their sponsored products, almost 37 to 40% of their total sales within that one marketplace comes from sponsored products. So it's a very useful tool for you to really take your sales to the next level. It's also very efficient. So you get a lot of flexibility as a seller to refine your budget, refine your bidding, and essentially, help get higher return on ad spend. So a lot of sellers are very occupied with always ask me, how do I lower a cost? So it's everything to do with adjusting your sponsored product campaigns. And then the opposite of lowering a cost is to increase your return on ad spend, right? So over the course of the different like webinars we'll be doing, you also learn how to kind of optimize your campaigns and lower your a costs. So just to recap, as I mentioned earlier, sponsored product, it is a cost per click ASIN based ads. So essentially you're advertising individual ASINs. You're not advertising 3 different ASINs, for example. You're advertising only one of your ASIN. And you can target based on keywords that people are searching for, or a product that someone might be looking at. Cost per click, what that means is that sometimes you'll hear me say CPC or cost per click. It means that you are charged as an advertiser for every click that someone clicks on your ad. But if they don't click on your ad, you're not charged for it. So that's essentially what it means. It helps you promote the products you want to sell in, for example, the top of the shopping results page, or on other people or competitors listings. You can even target your own listings if you want to. You select essentially the products you want to advertise. It can be the new product that you're launching this month, or it can be your hero product that you really want to drive all your sales at. Or it can also even be products that you just want to clear inventory. You just want to wind down this product, but you want to clear your stock, clear your inventory. It's also a way for you to select those products and advertise. Then the next step is for you to choose the keywords or the product attributes that are relevant to your category, right? So in this case, for example, if you're selling a pot, is it a cast iron pot? Is it a Dutch pot? Is it a non-stick pot? These are all keywords that you can choose to target people that are searching for the product that are relevant to you. And essentially, what you can control as an advertiser is how much you want to spend on your bidding and your budget, because sponsored product is an auction-based kind of a model. So you are bidding for keywords. Like, for example, if you're selling this cast iron pot, there are also multiple other people trying to sell the pot. So everyone submits their bids and bid for the keyword, for example, like Dutch oven pot. And essentially you budget and you control how much you want to bid and how much you want to essentially budget for your ad campaign. And under sponsored products, there are 2 types of targeting. There is automatic targeting, auto targeting, or number 2, it can also be manual targeting. And within manual targeting, there is keyword targeting as well as product targeting. Because today is more introduction and more basic, I'll be covering with you on automatic targeting, which I call it basic, but actually across the different brands that I've interacted with, the different business owners, almost every top seller within Singapore has an automatic targeting campaign running all the time, and I'll explain why later. But essentially today we will cover automatic targeting. And for most new business owners, you should start with an automatic campaign for the first 2 weeks, especially to essentially find out what are some of the top keywords and top products that are working or driving a lot of traffic towards your listings, before optimizing, and refining in a manual targeting campaign for your sponsored products. So also just for our sellers to understand where your ads will be shown, this is what we always call placements. Placements essentially means where your ad appears on Amazon. So as I mentioned earlier, most of the time you want to secure top of search as a placement. So you appear at the top of the search shopping results page. Of course, within the first page would be the best, because we know most people don't bother to click onto the second page anymore. Of course, the other placements where your sponsored ads will appear would be the product detail page itself. It can be a competitor product detail page. It can be one of your other listings product detail page at the carousel below. It can also be the bottom of the search, like if someone bothers to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the search, there are all the different placements where ad will appear. And it's also going to appear across both the mobile as well as tablet app. So these are some of the placements where your ads will be shown to customers. And for most sellers, especially if you're very new, what is the very first ad campaign to run? As I mentioned, it really needs to be your very first automatic targeting campaign. I know I've met like quite a few sellers in our offline meetups, and quite a few sellers tell me, they saw online and the very first ad campaign they want to run is an exact match for this very specific keyword to your category, which of course as a seller you have full control, you can do that. But I also recommend sellers very first as your ad campaign to really run an automatic campaign. So the idea behind this is to expand and collect the keywords that are the most relevant to you. So you're letting Amazon do the heavy work for you. It automatically, exposes your product, for example, your moisturizer, to potential customers based on your listing quality and previous big data. So it pushes the ad to the most relevant consumers, what they're searching for. You don't have to choose any kind of keywords. You just have to choose the ad, the product that you want to advertise essentially, as well as your bid, as well as your budget, which I'll cover later. But essentially, the idea behind automatic targeting is to cast that wide net and see what are the keywords that are relevant before after 2 weeks, before you take a look at your report in your ad console to see what are the highest performing keywords, highest performing products, then you essentially use this high performing keywords and product and put it into a separate manual campaign, and then you optimize your bidding and you optimize your budget. But your very first ad campaign, if you've never run before, should be an automatic targeting campaign. So just to really quickly recap for our sellers, you can essentially go onto the campaign manager or within Seller Central. There is the ads kind of a tab, and then you click create new campaign and select sponsored products, which is the one on the left. Essentially you click on that. Number two, what you do is that you set up the campaign name. So essentially you want to kind of write down the name that will remind you about this ad campaign. So for example, if it's me, I'll write Hui Qi Moisturizer Auto. So I know that essentially this is an automatic campaign. Subsequently, later on, you might be adding more campaigns. So you want to essentially, really kind of keep track of what ad campaign you're running. Then of course the start, you want to start a start date. So start date should be the day that you're launching the ad campaign. And very important here for our sellers is to put no end date. No end date. And this again is, as I mentioned, a best practice that we recommend to sellers. It's not a good idea to start and stop, start and stop, start and stop all your different campaigns, especially your automatic campaign, because for automatic campaign, you're letting the Amazon algorithm do the work for you. It needs some time to run to collect all the big data in terms of how many people are clicking, what type of keywords people are searching for. So we recommend not to put any end date, so that you get better returns on this ad campaign. And then, of course, you can set a daily budget. Again, the daily budget is a common question that I get from sellers: how much to put for your daily budget? Um, Essentially, what we recommend to sellers, especially very, very new sellers, is at minimum put in $10, um, upwards to $20. If you're a bit worried in terms of, like, how much money you're gonna spend. What the daily budget, as well as, what it means is that, across the calendar days, so for example, if this month there is 30 days and you set a daily budget of $10, within that 1 month, of August, for example, you will not be charged more than $300. So 10 times 30 days, you will not exceed this daily budget. So put in a daily budget that you are comfortable with. Of course, if you have more budget, you are ready to spend, then of course the sky is the limit. But at a very minimum, we recommend $10 to $20 as a daily budget. And then, of course, under the targeting tab, please click automatic targeting, because you're setting up an automatic campaign. And then number 3, it will mean what is the bidding strategy. So what is the bidding strategy to select for your campaign? There are 3 options, right? So there's dynamic bids down only, there's dynamic bids up and down, and there's fixed bids. So what dynamic bids down only means is that the Amazon algorithm, you're bidding in an auction, right, for the keyword. So it's, for example, I'm bidding for the keyword face moisturizer. Essentially, down only means that you're bidding only down. Amazon will automatically lower your bids in real time when it's not likely to convert to a sale. And then, of course, there's dynamic bids up and down, which is where, this is a more aggressive, just think of it as a more aggressive bidding strategy. So when Amazon's algorithm feels that your ad is going to lead to a sale, someone has, maybe clicked on it before, they will actually bid your increase your bid by up to 100%, when they feel that it's more likely to convert to a sale. And they'll also decrease it up to a downwards of 100% when it's not likely to convert to a sale. So that is essentially the difference between the bidding strategy. Fixed bids is something that you use when you just know exactly what bid you want to bid for. But we don't recommend fixed bids unless you are an existing seller and you know that there is a new product launch. Then we recommend to do fixed bids. Subsequently, also, as you're getting more advanced, you start to see which of your ASINs are your best selling ASINs. We call it hero ASINs, but just think of it as your best seller. For bestseller ASINs, dynamic bids up and down is the most recommended, because, as I mentioned, they are your best sellers. So you'll want to be also the most aggressive with it. So you want to choose dynamic bids up and down. However, for very, very new sellers, this is your first ad campaign, then we recommend you to choose down only. So you will essentially take on a slightly more conservative bidding approach. But just keep in mind, essentially, no matter what bidding strategy you choose, you will not exceed your daily budget. So you will not exceed your budget of, if you set $10 for 30 calendar days, you will not exceed $300. And also, the other interesting thing to know about the bidding strategy is that you can actually adjust your bids by placements. So as I mentioned, the sponsored products, they appear across different type of placements. Number 1 is the top of search, which is the first shopping results page. And number 2 is product detail pages. So this I recommend for sellers that are more advanced. You have already run previous campaigns. Then you can actually increase your bid, be a bit more aggressive with certain placements, especially if you see that you have been getting a lot of clicks or a lot of sales from customers coming from top of search and customers coming from product detail pages. So you can pick and choose. So that's the other thing. But if you are, again, as I mentioned, very new to advertising, then you can leave this for now and just set the basic settings first. And then, of course, number four, you can name an ad group. Essentially, you just want to put all the products within the same category and with the same features and roughly the same prices, put all the ASINs in the same group. So an example is if you are a shoe seller, for example, you might be selling, for example, flats, flat shoes and high heel shoes. Um, you wouldn't want to put your high heel shoes and your flat shoes together in one ad group. You might have loafers and ballet flats and sneakers that are flat shoes. You can put all these into one automatic campaign. And then for your high heel shoes, there are different type of high heel shoes. Then you put all the different high heel shoes in another automatic campaign. You shouldn't be mixing very different products into the ad campaign because it will confuse the algorithm as well. So essentially, just put all the products that are in the same kind of feature, price point, category together into one ad group. So for example, the other example is if you are selling ties, neckties, and you have 10 different colors, right? Red, blue, green, yellow. What should you do? Just put all of these colors for the same neckties into one ad group. So that's the best practice. The other tip for sellers is then, how do you select the products to advertise? A lot of sellers actually forget to click on this drop down menu. So under products, you can click the show, the drop down menu, and there is newest first, oldest first, and suggested. I recommend sellers to click on the suggested option because the suggested option is essentially what Amazon thinks is your most ready product. Essentially, it's going to show you what it feels is the product with the highest listing quality, and it's also going to be the product that is likely to generate the most sales for you. It's also a good tool for you to see, for example, what products are not up to par in terms of the listing quality. You might want to refine on the products that are not appearing in the suggested list as well. So that's a quick tip for our sellers. You can click on suggested products. It's higher probability of ad impressions and clicks. Number six, then is the bid that you want to set. Essentially, when you key in the product and you select the product, it's going to surface a suggested bid from Amazon. So whenever you select, for example, this test product, which is a toy product, Amazon will actually suggest a recommended bid. So our tip to you as a seller is to essentially put a 10 to 20% higher than the recommended bid, so that essentially you're bidding a bit more aggressively to expand and to secure more placements. So if, for example, once you've entered all the products and Amazon suggests a bid of 50 cents, you should be putting around 60 to 70 cents essentially to secure the winning bid and secure your ad placements. And number seven, you will also see fields for negative keyword targeting and negative product targeting. This is for when you have run campaigns before. If you are a new seller, I don't recommend you do anything when it comes to negative targeting for now. You want to run your campaign first and then download reports to see what keywords or what product targeting is not working for you. Then you can optimize your campaign in the future. But if you are a new seller, I don't recommend you to put anything for negative targeting. Yep. So that is the quick recap for how to set up your very first sponsored product automatic campaign. It can be quite efficient when it comes for automatic targeting. The quick tip is to use the 4 match types. You'll see that there's close match, loose match, substitutes, as well as complements. Just use all 4 within one ad campaign. Number 2 is to set up a daily budget with the correct kind of price, a daily budget of a right size. So as I mentioned, around 10 to 20 USD is recommended for new sellers. Of course, if you have more budget that you're willing to spend, then of course you are free to increase. But this is our recommendation. Number three, when it comes to the end date, don't set an end date to the campaign. Number four, you want to start your campaigns with your suggested ASIN. As I mentioned, that is the ASIN that Amazon thinks is probably going to be the most of the highest listing quality, and it's going to lead to higher clicks and conversions. So that is the ASIN that we suggest. And of course, if you have multiple different ASINs, especially, like for example, the necktie or socks of different colors, you don't know which product to advertise, then you want to put all of these in the same category and same price point into the same ad group, and just let the algorithm run with it. And then you'll be able to track which color is actually generating the most sales for you, or which product is actually the one that is going to perform the best, and then you can optimize at a later time. And of course, as I mentioned, run the automatic campaign for 2 weeks. At the very minimum of 2 weeks, just let it run. And then, of course, you can download a report called search term report at a later time to check the results and to see what is working for you. So just as a quick reminder for our sellers, just keep in mind, screenshot this, use all four match types, set up a daily budget of $10 to $20, put no end date, use your suggested ASIN, and run it for 2 weeks essentially, so you can accumulate enough data for your campaign optimization. So that is our kind of a quick tips and quick start for sponsored products automatic campaign. I'll hand my time back to Jin Liang as well as Rin to kind of cover essentially what are some of the cut-off dates.
So I'll just share my screen. So yeah, this is the date I'm talking about, the FBA cutoff dates. So these are the timeline. I believe the first two is already over because we had a series one a couple of weeks back. So the upcoming event is what we call the Prime Big Deal Day. All right, so I think the submission for the deal is already ended. I think Rin is here, can correct me if I'm wrong. So right now, I believe the PED, the Prime Exclusive Discount, the coupon submission is discount submission is open already. So please do remember, log into your Seller Central. You can start creating your deals. I mean your PED, your Prime Exclusive discounts on Seller Central. Yep, thank you, Rin, for confirming that. Yes, and then the most important thing is the cutoff date for shipping. Let me just highlight here. All right, so if you want to participate or going to participate in PBDD Prime Big Deal Day, the FBA inbound shipping cutoff is 14th of September, meaning that your goods needs to reach the Amazon US warehouse by 14th September. All right, that's the cutoff dates. And then if for the BFCM Black Friday Cyber Monday, the FBA inbound shipping cutoff date is 19th of October, meaning that again, your products that you want to be able to sold during the BFCM period, it has to be available by, or rather, reach the US warehouse by 19th October. All right, so basically, if you're doing by, sea shipment, you should have already started your shipment in, because it takes about 2 months for sea shipping, at least 2.5 months. So do take note of the important dates. All right, and then these are just some of the typical timeline. You can review in the recording. These are the typical timeline that we have for most of the key promotion events in Amazon. And also, these are the links. I won't be sharing too many QR code. You can find the links in the video description. So I will upload the video by today, and you can go and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you have not done so. So we do have additional resources on Seller University. If you need to read up, there is all the useful guide, and especially the peak season seller success strategy guide is available already. All right, again, don't have to scan. I will share the link as well on the video description. So I do receive some questions from some of you. So if you put in some questions, after this morning that I may not have received it, then I may need you to put into the Q&A box, right? So one of the seller asked how to spot a good product to sell. So I'm just going to share, from my own perspective as a seller myself. I would say there's no one single method. So there are some suggestions that I think is useful for your consideration. All right, when you're doing, first of all, you need to have a good product. Find your niche. There's some page in Amazon.com with the bestseller page you can look, where the top trending products you can see is updated on a weekly basis. or you can use the Product Opportunity Explorer tool in Seller Central to help you look at the trends, the different things like the search conversions, etc. So we do have a webinar conducted, I think, last week by one of our account manager on how to use the Product Opportunity tool, a demonstration. You can check it out. So another way I think is good, you can look at the other marketplaces. What are the other top selling products to give you an idea, right? And again, your off Amazon, what do you call that? Resources, such as your social media, capitalize on any trend if you think that is something you want to consider, and think of a product that can solve a pain point of your target audience, or you can also go with your own passion. So end of the day, there's no single way to spot. It really depends on your experience, your previous um, network, etc., on how can you spot a good product to sell. All right, so there's no easy way, obviously, right? And yep, the other presenter of Hui Qi and Rin can feel free to share as well. Now I'm just go, this is the last slide, and then we will go into the Q&A. I do see some questions. I will read it out so that those in reviewing the video recording can actually know what is the question. So if you do have any other question, please feel free to put it on the Q&A. All right, let me read out the first questions that I got, right? Okay, yeah, so from one of our attendees, right, the question is Amazon Post only eligible for brand registered seller? So yes, thank you, Hui for answering as well. So yes, Amazon Post is only available for brand registered seller, meaning that you need to at least have a trademark, a pending trademark, and then go to Amazon Brand Registry and submit those documents. So once you enroll in the Amazon Brand Registry, you will be able to unlock this feature. You can see Amazon Post in your Amazon Brand Registry account there. Yep, you can start doing whatever, like what Hui shared earlier on as well. You can also do your sponsor brands once you have your Amazon Brand Registry enrolled. Yep. So any other questions, feel free to put in the box. We will still stay here for a couple of minutes. I know we have overrun by a bit. So for those who are still here, right, do note that we have another upcoming session on series 3. All right, so over here, we will share a lot more about what are the checklists you need to be aware of, what are the merchandising tools, and of course, like what Hui mentioned, she will also go a little bit deep into Amazon ads as well. So do sign up if you have not done so. This is the link. All right, if you don't want to scan QR code, that's fine. It's also at the side of the chat box. The link to sign up will also be in the follow-up emails as well. All right. So I don't see any more other questions already. Again, like I say, if I miss out any question that you put in during registration, you can still put it in here. If not, right, you are welcome to join any of our up and coming sessions. And if you have any questions, again, we will definitely address it before we end the session. So I guess that's the end for today. All right, thank you everyone for joining the session. Do take note of the upcoming session and take note of your inbox for the follow-up emails that we will be sharing. All right, thank you everyone. Have a very good afternoon. See you at the next session. Bye-bye. Thanks to Rin and thanks to Hui as well. Goodbye.